Today I'm going to bring you along with me to what I consider the best Goodwill outlet in the Twin Cities area. It is in a suburb, western suburb of the Twin Cities, Minnetonka, across from the Ridgedale Mall. And I used to work just moments from this Goodwill. I worked 7:30 to 2, and probably twice a week by about 2:08, I would hit up this Goodwill. And I was curious, we were doing some Christmas shopping at Ridgedale, and I was curious to see what it was like now. And I don't think you'll be disappointed. I still, in my opinion, consider this. And if I'm wrong, let me know if you know of a better Goodwill in the Minneapolis Twin City area. But this one didn't disappoint. And I'd like you to come along with me while I search for Martha. Let's go. Brian is dropping me off at a Goodwill that I used to go to all the time. When I was working, I worked very close to this Goodwill. So the first thing I noticed was just how well organized. I hadn't been in for probably 2 years. It was just very well done and well organized. And their boutique items were up near the cash register, which I guess is kind of a common thing now when the Goodwill doesn't put it out. I noticed it at another Goodwill I was at, doesn't put it out with the other clothing. They hand pick all of these items. I couldn't tell why these pants were up there, no tag, no label. I was trying to figure it out. There was a pair next to it, and then I saw the little Lululemon sticker. They were $24.99, and some nicer quality sweaters were up also in the $20 range. So it looks as though this particular Goodwill will handpick the nicer clothing items and put them up near the front. What I really liked seeing is all of the Christmas items, and there were so many Christmas items that also had to be up near the front, and they just had a beautiful selection. I am Christmas rich at our house, so I don't need anything. But I really, if I would have found a specific treasure, I would have picked it up because the amount of vintage and quality Christmas items was pretty remarkable compared to the other Goodwills that I had been at. I have old world Santas on my mantle in the downstairs in our basement area, and I'm looking to find vintage nutcrackers, and they had a really nice selection there. I didn't pick any up, but I'm wanting to start collecting those, hopefully at the Goodwill bins, hopefully starting to collect some old world Santas. This is where they roll out, some resellers refer to as new bins or new carts. And I asked at one point, and you can shop out of the bins. I think it's good to ask because I think sometimes they don't want you touching it before it goes on the shelves. But in this particular store, at the time I asked last time, they said it was okay to shop inside of those bins. So there was that much merchandise coming out in addition to the rows and rows. This store was actually had quite a bit of shoppers in it. I went into a Savers a week or so ago. It was really quiet, and this store was quite busy for midday, like 2 o'clock on a Tuesday. So this store had a lot of customers. These were cute. The vintage Coca-Cola. I did a Google Lens search on those. I was looking at maybe picking those up, but there wasn't enough profit on those to turn those around. And then these, I also took a peek at these. These were interesting. I don't know if you've ever heard of Glassy Baby votive candle holders. I'm not certain how to distinguish Glassy Baby, but I Google imaged those, and those were not that brand. So if that's a brand to look out for. So if you ever see any of those kind of glass votive holders, they might be worth looking up. Everything was just the shelves were clean and it was stacked so nicely. There were a lot of workers in the store today, and they were busy putting things out. And it's interesting, even though I hadn't been in this store for, like I said, about 2 years, the same workers were still there. So they must, at this particular store, they must treat their employees well, because there's an elderly woman who does checkout, and she is still there, and she has been there for years. I used to work just right around the corner at a job 7:30 to 2 each day, and at 2 o'clock I was here at this store by 2:10, 2:05, probably 2 or 3 times a week before I was brave enough to try my hand at the bins. I wish I knew a little bit more about glass. I literally had that bowl. That's from the 90s. I don't know a lot about it. I don't know anything about it. There's a lot of good YouTube channels if you want to learn more about glass. I think there's money to be made there. I just don't know crystal from patterns, from any of that. I, I don't know if I'm not afraid to ship it. I just don't know if I'm interested enough to take the time to learn more. I do like the vases aisle. Oh, this one was so cute and vintage. Again, just high quality, nice, no cracks, no chips. Things were just in good shape. It didn't feel to me like they were putting out things just to put them out. I think sometimes you go into Goodwills and things should never have been on the shelves, empty bottles and things that just don't belong here. I don't feel this Goodwill does that. I think they must either dispose of them, or things that aren't nice or in good condition, they might just send off to the Goodwill bins. But in this particular store, you can just tell it's nicely done. Things are clean. It is definitely worth going to. In my opinion, this Goodwill, of the ones that are in the West Metro area of Minneapolis, this one is the nicest. And I think that I don't know this, but I wonder sometimes if some of the merchandise doesn't get shifted around between the Goodwills. And I feel like this one is more of a destination, not a boutique, but I just feel like this one gets better merchandise. There are some very nice communities out near here. I'm across the street from Ridgedale and very close to Wayzata, Minnesota. So there are some very nice homes out this way, and maybe this is the closest place to shop. Oh, my father-in-law was a pharmacist. I have sold a lot of mortar and pestles. This one didn't have the pestle in it, but during COVID, I sold a ton of those. We inherited a lot of pharmacy items. So I think those are worth looking up. And if that would have had the pestle, the little pounder, I would have picked that up to sell, because there is money in those. So this is down another aisle of, I think this is like metal. They sorted out between metal and wood and glassware and china. And so now I am down the metal aisle, and the prices, they were okay. They weren't sky high. Not everything was $29.99. Some of the clothing up at the front, that's where the prices were $24.99. But in this case, I feel like they're more realistically pricing, so that if you do want to shop here, maybe not as a reseller, but if you want to shop here, if you have a new home, if you go to, start a new apartment, a new home, what a fantastic place to pick up your odds and ends. I think, my opinion, I mean, it's just the way to go when you're first starting out, or even to just freshen up your decor. You really can't beat some of the prices. And the other thing I heard is that, oh, I liked these. I couldn't even lift them, and I wasn't going to drop that. Those were beautiful. The other thing I've heard is that the builders, when they stage the home, the new home construction, sometimes things get donated that were in there. There's resale stores for those things in our area, but also some of these items come out of staged homes, and you can see it if you go in the thrift stores enough, you can just tell the quality. These were beautiful. They were priced separately. This was a gorgeous set, but that it wasn't enough for me to flip it, and we are really downsizing. The price wasn't low enough for me to flip it. We are really downsizing at our house. I am not picking up anything, really. I am donating most of our things and really scaling down our house. So again, this was a gorgeous set as well. Another Christmas end cap. It just went on and on and on. If you can pick up vintage Christmas ornaments, some of the handmade ones do well. It was Senior Day. 25% off military and seniors. I was there on a Wednesday. That was yesterday. I'm doing a voiceover. I'm not able to just speak yet in the stores. I like coming home and I remember a lot of things that I see when I'm in the stores, but there were so many people and I just am not comfortable and confident enough to just talk to myself while I'm going up and down the aisles. I think that would be a lot easier to film these. It would be a lot less steps to film YouTube videos, but I'm much more comfortable. I'm not concerned about the camera and that. Oh, I have sold lots. I just sold one, groupings of crosses. And those I pick up at church rummage sales, but I don't sell them singly. I group them together, and I have sold 3 or 4 lots of them. I used to be uncomfortable just even holding my camera and filming, and I've gotten over that. Nobody cares. Nobody cares what you're doing. But speaking and talking, and I know if there's music playing, you can't have that on your channel. So I like to come home and just do a voiceover and talk to you about what I see. Another beautiful piece. That was like a Southwest piece and a little bit high, a little bit pricier on that one. And I'm certain that the pricers obviously are using Google Lens to price their items as well before they put them out. Some of them I think probably do deserve the prices they were at. I don't think the Goodwill should, not make any money. I just don't understand when this was gorgeous as well. I don't understand why they gouge everybody on prices, shoppers or resellers. But this particular store, if you need to get some new things for your home, it is just really nicely laid out. These were a pair of vintage bookends. Every time I flip things over like that, I'm looking for things not made in China. I'm looking for things. I liked this a lot. If there would have been a name on this was a nativity scene. Very unique, very unusual. I really did like that, but couldn't find a name on it. So when I flip things over like this, I'm looking for not things made mass produced in China. I'm looking for Japan and Italy, something made in Europe. Those are the ones that I will stop and, oh, the sun was really coming in. Those are the ones that I will stop and in the store. I didn't even take a cart today because of the inventory that I have to list before I buy anything new. But I will put those things in my cart and I will do a image search on those things when I find. These were stunning. They were iridescent, and I think that made in Germany. They were beautiful. Again, quality. There's just in the other stores that I've been in, the other Goodwills and the other Savers, not the quality that I found today, and so nicely done. And again, I've said it already, but just they didn't put out junk. They put out the nicer items. I like these little trinket boxes where you can open them up, and I've sold several of those. I always take a peek at those, the little hinged trinket boxes. Vintage ornaments. There are those nutcrackers again. I am in search of those. These were much nicer. Not that one. There were other ones that was mass produced, but if you can find them, tall, really big. I have really large old world Santas that I have collected from the church rummage sales and the Goodwill bins, and I put those downstairs in our lower level. Our basement level is decorated more like a cabin. Many people in Minnesota have cabins. We do not. So we decorated our basement, and that's the cabin we go to. We go downstairs. This was beautiful. That was Mikasa, and it was $19.99 for both the pieces. They were put together. That was a really nice piece as well. So the Christmas balls, the Christmas ornaments, the handmade ones with the little sequins and push pins. My mom and her friends used to make those, and her friends used to give them to her. This was adorable. I did not run a Google image search, but that was really cute. If she would have had some more friends, I would have taken a closer look at that. Those little push pin ornaments, those I sold one at a time a couple Christmases ago when my mom's collection became mine. I go all, this was the game aisle and the office aisle. I have found within here calculators, certain calculators, new and packaged, sell really well. I have sold leather, you open all of them up. I sold a Coach leather binder that was just thrown in there for $2.99. They don't always look and keep track of the prices. So take a peek at the leather items that you can find in the office area. Sometimes pens and pencils, crayons, markers. Take a peek. This area is with the cosmetics, and I have found some really great bags. That was not real. I have found some really great bags mixed in with the cosmetic bags. Sometimes they put their little handbags down there, and I have pulled that whole drawer out and lifted it up and poked through. This was Rolf's, ROLFS, new with tags. That'd make a great gift. So mixed in with the health and beauty, they don't have the actual health and beauty items that some resellers can find discontinued. I would love, look at all the clothing. I would love to be able to find a resource for discontinued health and beauty. Again, going back to my mom, when we moved her out of her home, she had a box of discontinued Estee Lauder, and I must have made $1,000 on selling that off. I'm an only child, so it was my task to move her into assisted living during COVID and sell her home, her townhome, and everything in it. And I was so incredibly thankful that I had already been selling on eBay, because I would have been very overwhelmed with what to do with all of her items. And COVID, it was a time when everyone was shopping online. It was easy to shop online. People that weren't used to shopping online were forced to. So I have been selling on eBay since the end of 2017. So I was comfortable selling by the time 2020 came around. And what a blessing that was to be able to move her, sell her items rather than, I didn't, so many people don't know what to do. That's why the stores look like this. They just don't know what to do with all the items. Looks like they inherited some Joe Boxer bras, new with tag. They sell lingerie and bras and things, but they were all new with tag. And then they had a whole entire row of bathrobes, and I do well with vintage lingerie, vintage bathrobes. Those I find for pennies at the Goodwill Outlet. Mixed in here, I have done, at this particular store, I found a Ralph Lauren bedspread, and I actually ended up keeping that one. But back when I was shopping here, started selling in 2017, so I started coming over here, in 2018. The pillowcases were 99 cents. The comforters were $9.99, and I would come over on senior day, and they would offer coupons back then, and so I was able to mix and match all of those different day, certain ticket prices and certain sales on certain days, and I was able to come away from this store with really fantastic bargains. Looks like they also have a distributor for all of these new and packaged bedding items. So some company must donate, or I don't quite know how that works when you get all new and packaged items on the shelves. So this was the sleepwear, the clothing. These had different tags on them as well. So I don't know if they were donated with that tag or if another organization donates to them. Their handbags were placed on the end caps, and there weren't very many. The prices were okay. The other place that I have sourced handbags at is a place called Turnstile, and they will go down to $2 days and pre-bins. I thought Turnstile had a really nice selection because they'll only choose items that they think are quality, and if they don't sell, they'll keep marking them down throughout the season. And at the end of the season, you can scoop up some pretty darn good prices. So there wasn't a real impressive selection of handbags. So I was kind of surprised in that. Oh, always look up Mickey things. This one, the price tag was like $19.99, but always look up Disney and Disney parks and Mickey Mouse things. Those can do well. And this little green bag, this was, I think it said Frank Lloyd Wright on it, and that seemed interesting to me. The color, if it's an interesting color, interesting name. I did run a Google image search, and that wasn't worth all that much. They must have got a lot of plush, don't someone's collection, but they decorated a Christmas tree with it. There's all these new with tags suck. So like I said, there must be a source that donates right off to them because it was packed. This is their children's items, and they weren't overpriced. You know, $2.99, $3.99. Their outerwear was $8.99 for kids. So again, nicer items, and they didn't jack up the prices. It looked to be very much reasonable to shop here. Maybe not for resale, but to shop here. I thought they did a nice job. Headed down the menswear aisle. All of them were priced. I wasn't sure what that was. Is that like women's products in the back pocket of men's pants? I didn't quite know what that was. But the men's pants were plentiful, and $8.99. Again, nice prices, awesome selection. So they were very well stocked. But the sheer size of this one was really quite impressive. So again, entire menswear shirts, and beautifully done. Made my way down the shoes. They had a wonderful selection. They were priced higher, $14.99, but again, clean and nice and good selection, and they weren't overdone. And what I liked truly was the fact that they were not just putting out junk. This one might have been an exception. This one was dirty and overpriced and was a Target brand. So something went wrong here. But short of this one pair of shoes, everything else that I picked up and looked at were good brands, good names, nice and clean, and not terribly overpriced. So good job, Goodwill in Minnetonka. You're doing it well. You're doing it right, and making it so it's affordable for customers to shop there, and not making it so ridiculous for resellers. Because if you're pricing everyone out, that's my biggest pet peeve. You get all of these items for free. So if you're pricing all of us out, it's going to end up at the Goodwill bins. It's not going to all be sold there, and then it's going to end up in the landfill. So all these little shoes didn't have any prices on them. So I don't know. Sometimes when there are prices on them, they won't sell them to you, or you have to go bring them up, wait for a pricer, and that can take forever. So I don't know how things end up on the shelves without prices on them. And a lot of these little kids' shoes that I picked up and looked at didn't have pricing. Cute as can be. Think of my grandson. So that was a little misstep there, that they didn't price their items. But back to my rant, if you're not pricing it for anybody, you're doing a disservice to the community. There used to be a time when you could buy these Christmas sweaters, but since I've been reselling, they have went up terribly in price. If you can find Michael Simon, that brand of Christmas sweater, I had one and sold it really quickly back, I think in 2020. It was from the 90s. It was way beaded and decked out. I had Michael Simon Christmas ornaments, sold those. But if you can find that brand, Michael Simon, but all of the thrift stores now are onto it. But I don't, are ugly sweater parties still a thing? And one thing though, if you are at a thrift store at Halloween time, our Goodwills pull all of the really funky, weird items, and then they will just claim them as Halloween. And I have found really good designer brands because they just look at it, don't always price it, but look at it and put it in with Halloween. So don't forget to look there at look inside there at Halloween time. So headed down to the book area. Again, just rows and rows and rows of books, and they do a nice job grouping them together by certain genres. And have you watched, the paperbacks were $1.99. Have you seen the Martha Stewart documentary? I thought it was really good. If you find, I was looking, if you find her first book signed, that's what it goes for. Keep your eye out for that first Martha Stewart entertaining book. They go well unsigned. The hardcovers were, or the soft covers were $1.99. Hardcovers were $2.99. Unsigned, that Martha Stewart book does well, but signed, that's what they're going for. And I don't know if it's because of that documentary, but it was really good. I really liked that one. So they group them in this store by genre. So I did look through, and I did find one hardcover Martha Stewart, and I looked it up, but it wasn't the Martha Stewart. So I put that back. You can do well with frames. You can do well with lamps. This one caught my eye, but it wasn't heavy. But I was like, wondered if that was brass. So check that, and then check out the photos. It's unbelievable, the framed pictures. This table was nice, and I really, really liked this office chair. I would have bought that. I think that's fantastic. That's not going to stay there very long. But they did have a decent selection. They weren't priced great. They were priced affordably, but that chair was amazing. But if you are moving or you want to redo your artwork, this is the place to go. They really had a nice selection of that, and the pillows as well. Oftentimes when I'm in the bins, I will find pillows. I will unzip them and take out the inside and just purchase the pillow sham and pillow for the decorative pillows and throw those in the wash, especially Pier 1. I've found several Pier 1 pillow shams or pillowcases. And in that case, if you take out the inside, which to me that would be maybe the more part that you'd want that wouldn't be clean, and then I clean the outside. So don't think that when you're shopping at the Goodwill bins that you can't take things apart. I've taken pictures out of frames. I've taken pillows out of pillow shams. So you can piece through, because if you don't buy it, this is the last stop. It's going in the landfill. So don't be afraid to make it the way you want it. And when you're shopping at the bins, don't forget to bring a tape measure and even a little screwdriver. I usually carry those things with me when I'm at the bins so that I can take those things apart. The women's sweaters, they were fine. There wasn't anything all that special, but they weren't marked up terribly they didn't, at the other ones I've found $24.99 and $18.99 and no tags and no size, and that wasn't the case here. They had so much inventory, and it was good inventory. And again, with the sweaters, I've done very well with wool and vintage sweaters, and so here is the checkout area and more of those little plushies. So either they were donated or someone had quite the collection. So I was heading out and some sale prices on them. And then the last stop was the shoes and boots on the end. Just seeing, it looked as though there was only one. So if you wanted to purchase them, you would have to ask for the match. So they must have some sort of stealing issue at this store because they weren't putting both out. They had decent brands, not horrible, again, broken record a little bit, but not horrible prices. Decent brands, and they had a lot of ski boots, which I thought that would be a good deal to find ski boots at the thrift store, because back in the day I used to ski when I was much younger, and it's expensive. So finding it at the thrift, they had quite a nice selection of ski boots here, and outdoor boots that were UGG, nice and clean. And so there was also another pair of Uggs down at the bottom. I remember seeing, there they are, down at the bottom, a men's Ugg slipper. It was really nice. So only singles up at the front near the checkout area, only singles, but nice selection of ski boots as well. So I would really recommend the Minnetonka Goodwill, clean, good pricing. Really was a nice shopping experience. So check them out.